Technical debt is the organizational, project, or engineering neglect of known good practice that can result in persistent public, user, customer, staff, reputation, or financial cost. When adopted, technical debt becomes the hole in your canoe. Each gallon of water bailed incurs additional cost. Each gallon of water not bailed adds to the sluggishness of the operation. Technical debt has generally been used to refer to postponed or deferred work, whether by intent or by neglect. Incomplete or shoddy work extracts a persistent cost on ongoing software operations. In addition, corrective rework costs more than doing it right the first time. Technical debt is typically viewed as a problem to recover from once it has occurred. However, a better strategy is to systematically anticipate and avoid the conditions that contribute to technical debt in the first place. During development, the project must focus on cost, schedule, quality, and performance. The methods to systematically anticipate and avoid technical debt need to be built into the software development lifecycle. The intended outcomes include on-budget, on-schedule deliveries of defect-free components and systems traceable to requirements with managed and controlled frequency of releases that sustain user operations. Project assessment focuses on the cost, schedule, quality, and performance triggers that serve as the preconditions for technical debt. Technical debt is considered written off only when it is eliminated at the source, including management, engineering, and process. What are the conditioning triggers for each source? The conditioning triggers for management include prioritized goals, where schedule or cost is accorded priority over defect-free delivery. A technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Organizational levels, where the software function is separated from program management by two or more levels, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Schedule, where the number of months planned is less than the estimated month at completion, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Cost, where the budget at completion is less than the estimate at completion, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Milestone completion, where the completion schedule for any milestone completion plan date is replaced with a replanned date, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Headcount and effort, where overtime off the clock or personnel turnover rate is trending upwards, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Frequency of release, where the frequency of release is daily or weekly, a technical conditioning trigger is set. The conditioning triggers for engineering include deep domain expertise. Where deep domain expertise is not widespread on the project, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Software architecture, where software architecture is not tightly coupled with middleware, operating system, and network services, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Requirements known, where requirements are not fully known, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Technical risk, where the sources of technical risk in function, form, or fit is high, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Product size, where product size estimates at completion exceed product size estimates planned, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Complexity, where cyclomatic or essential complexity trend upward from one product release to another, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. The conditioning triggers for process include software project management, where the software project management mode is low, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Software product engineering, where the software product engineering mode is ad hoc. A technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Iterative development, where incremental or iterative development of design levels and delivery stages is not used. A technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Best practices, where the use of best practices is rated low. A technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Best practices include project planning, project tracking and oversight, requirements management, configuration management, software product engineering, peer reviews, risk management, and metrics. On metrics, where metrics are not used, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Metrics include product size, time, effort, productivity, change, defects, complexity, release frequency, and span of responsibility. Quality assurance, where quality assurance is not in place and functioning, a technical debt conditioning trigger is set. Defect rate, where the actual defect rate, including both defect detection and defect correction, exceeds the expected. A technical debt conditioning trigger is set. The technical debt analytics are used as follows. Technical debt is a function of neglect, management, engineering, and process, where conditioning triggers for management range from M1 through M6, for engineering E1 through E6, and process P1 through P7. The conditioning trigger thresholds are considered low if the conditioning trigger set count for management, engineering, or process is equal to 2 or less. Then technical debt is assigned green. It is considered medium if the conditioning trigger set count for management, engineering, or process is equal to 3 or 4. Then technical debt is assigned yellow. For high, if the conditioning trigger set count for management, engineering, or process is 5 or more, then technical debt is assigned red. Here's my contact information. I would be happy to receive questions and have discussions with people on this important subject.